everybody. Welcome back to our podcast, Sehat Beyond the Clinic. So today we have a very interesting topic. But before that, let me introduce our panelists for the day. Dr. Rutresh, Dr. Shantam, Dr. Amir Imran. So, topic of the day, psychological impact of being a gossip victim online. Oh my, I think everybody can relate to being a gossip victim, be it virtually, be it hybrid, or be it in person. Okay, so this is a topic that we cannot just dismiss as an just online drama lah. Kita ignore je. No, it's actually a reality. It can be very real and it can cause serious psychological consequences and even mental health issues, especially among the adolescents, para remaja. So please stay tuned to this episode, para guru and para remaja out there. We might be able to help you with what we're going to speak today. So Dr. Rutresh, what do you have to say about the topic today?
Okay, so basically, Dr. Vicky, today's topic is very, very interesting and it's full of tea actually. Because like how, people come and spill the tea and all that. We have evolved from being, this classical gossip among friends. Now, I think it's the emerging market of having social media. We have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and then we have people bashing each other. They're gossiping openly.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a very interesting topic and it's very important, especially for our younger generation.
Yeah. Dr. Sean.
Yeah, just to build on that, right? Because this kind of online world actually increases exposure, the intensity and duration.
Yep.
When we talk about harm,
100%.
usually three dimensions, right?
Yeah.
There's something called dose, how often the exposure is there.
Yeah.
Duration, how long is the exposure.
Yeah.
And so number 3, the reach, how far it spreads.
Yeah.
Anything that happens online actually scores very high on this,
Yeah.
right? Because traditionally, if you have a personal conflict, if I'm not happy with Amir,
Yeah.
after we go balik rumah, that's
Yeah.
it, right? I don't see
We
Amir.
cut it off, yeah.
Cut it off.
Yeah.
There's a natural boundary.
Yeah.
But now online, everything happens. It
No
comes
boundaries.
to your phone, and it comes in the sense that the victims will actually experience repeated psychological exposure.
Yeah.
And then they have this called micro exposure
Yeah.
Through their notifications.
No.
Through the comments on their WhatsApp messages, and even anticipatory anxiety.
Repetitive.
What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next?
And people just add on more. Someone just creates a thread now. I don't know whether you all know there's a new thing called thread, right? So under threads now, they create one thread, there's another follow-up thread like Twitter. You used to tweet, right? Tweet, retweet, and then comment, Too much of information out there.
When it happens again and again, this thing called transient social stressor actually becomes a sustained psychosocial risk factor.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So especially for adolescents, because for them peer evaluation is very important. So it affects us all.
Dr. Amir.
Yeah, I think the younger generation these days, their lives revolves around social media, right?
Correct.
Social media is everything to them, reputation, and then we can see that.
Online presence.
Yeah, there are two sides: the people who enjoy talking about people, talking bad also, but also the side that who are the victims. So as they think that social media is everything about their lives, imagine being on the receiving end of such untasteful comments.
Yes.
And their reputation gets a hit. So if their whole world comes crashing down, imagine what it would do to their mental health and anxiety, as you mentioned just now.
Yes. I'm sure all of us have gossiped before. We are not perfect lah. Each one of us have gossiped. Yes. But, okay, why is it psychologically damaging? In what aspect, Dr. Rutresh?
Okay, I think why is it psychologically damaging now is because those days, like what I'd like to touch back about what Dr. Sean actually mentioned earlier, traditional gossip was very limited. Smaller audience, shorter lifespan. Probably after gossip macam for example, I gossip dengan Dr. Vicky lah kan, I bagi tahu kat dia, you tahu tak kita dash ni, dash ni. And then probably after 2 days, we forgot the entire topic already. We forget about it already. We have already moved on to the new gossip, to the new tea. That is how the traditional gossip works. But what happens right now with online gossip is that it's permanent. It's highly visible. You can't remove it. People don't want to remove it. They just permanently put the remark there. It's visible to everyone. Everyone can look at it and you can revisit it as many times as you want.
Then sometimes you see hashtag,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the
Repost.
hashtag also grows. You open up the hashtag, from one post now it goes up to 1,000,
Yeah.
3,000, 4,000 posts and all that. So it spreads rapidly as well. And even though now, I don't know whether you all know, now there's this anonymous thing, NGL, not gonna lie. I'm not sure if you all have done this trend as well. People post out and say, okay, you can say anonymous things about me, and then people actually just say a lot of about
Things,
people.
yeah.
They
Nasty
just talk
things. Pardon our
people.
language.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry.
One thing about this, because online anonymity is there,
Yeah.
So a lot of
Yes.
people can create fake profiles, and then
Yeah.
Exactly.
just go
Key-
without holding back.
Keyboard warriors.
Keyboard warriors, betul. And I think honestly, I've been a victim myself. A few times people have actually
All of us.
misused our names in different platforms, and then say that, okay, actually this person actually said this person actually said that, did that. Yeah, so from a public health perspective, it actually creates a sustained psychological exposure. So especially for adolescents and young adults, it's very detrimental for them, in terms of their health, mental health and all that.
Dr. Amir.
Just now, Rutresh, you said that
Yeah.
everything becomes permanent, right, on social media. Like you screenshot something,
Correct.
other sites will share whatever you wrote on social media, right?
That's right.
And then probably
Tiba-tiba jadi viral.
yeah. And then when you open your social media account, you see this sharing, right?
Oh.
What does it say? That the algorithm determines what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So does that say are you really into that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You open this kind of thing. But the thing is, these things are in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you open your account, suddenly the thing pass through your account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these algorithms work actually to promote.
To amplify
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
gossip. So
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
just humans sharing that gossips now. It's these social media platforms having their own algorithms to amplify the gossips online, to make viewership. So be it a negative content, the more negative it is, the better for viewership. So imagine the impact on the one who is affected, the one who is being spoken about. So Dr. Sean, what do you have to say for this?
Okay, I mean, of course, certainly, because let's talk a little bit about online media, right? So we talk about say newspapers in terms of headlines, right?
Yeah.
So those days, again, headlines, you want it to be attractive so that people buy the paper.
Correct.
Nowadays, it's all online.
Yeah.
Right? It's all online, and people want click, because click is the currency today.
Yeah.
Right? Click, like, share, comment.
Yeah.
These are the important ones.
Yeah.
So when that happens, people will do their best to actually make it as clickbaity, as rage-baity as possible. And then a lot of times the language that we use when we want to make things clickbait or rage-baity would be really, really harsh. Because all these things harsh will create emotional
More
response.
people watch,
and
yeah.
more people look at it. So this will be quite challenging for us as normal people who want to just enjoy our time on social media, and also very much for the children, because adolescents, this is when they are
Absolutely.
they're not well matured yet,
Yeah.
and that's where it's going to affect them.
So what type of psychological impacts can an adolescent face, Doctor?
Maybe let's just focus on the wider
Yeah.
public, right? Because what we notice clinically and epidemiologically,
Yeah.
we'll actually see threat anticipation and hypervigilance. Means you're always vigilant all the time. Many victims will actually describe something called a compulsive monitoring behavior, meaning that they keep checking the comments, checking things. This may resemble something we call maladaptive safety-seeking behavior. And which is what very commonly seen in anxiety disorders. Then from a stress physiological perspective, just want to show you, we see a cycle. You have a social threat perception, and then that will activate our sympathetic nervous system. It will make us heartbeat faster. We cannot rest, increase cortisol, so we affect our sleep, and then it leads to poorer emotional regulation.
So it's not just an issue that is remaining online. This can physically cause a problem to anyone in the community out there.
It becomes self-reinforcing, and then we keep seeing the same response all the time.
Dr.
Yeah,
Fish.
I think in terms of that, let's look into our nature lah. I think human nature is that you tend to react to something negative more quicker than you react to positive things. So when you see something negative, like for example, very simple example, if you look at a video, suddenly out of nowhere in the highway there's a fire and then the car is banging, would you react to that, or would you react to someone who's actually preaching about mental health? Okay,
Of
that is
course, we will
very-
watch the accident video
Exactly.
and repost.
and repost it, and then
then
we'll be like,
express
you
our
know what,
sympathy.
something happened here. You know
Yeah.
what? These are simple examples.
Yes,
Even
sensational.
though, yeah,
Absolutely.
even though it is not a direct reflection of what the person wants to do, and that actually creates an algorithm. All AI is about these days is it's a learned platform. It's a learned intelligence, right? The more you feed what you want to see, the more it actually shows you. So
Correct.
Meta has already made up its own mind to actually teach you what you want actually.
Yeah.
It's engagement. It's engagement.
Engagement,
Yeah.
That's online engagement. That's how it works in online engagement as well.
Yeah. Dr. Amir.
When this becomes like chronic, when the shame or the negative attention becomes chronic, it can start to really affect your body, especially in terms of psychologically.
Yeah.
Your hormones get dysregulated, and then you get poor sleep,
Yeah.
irritability, and that's when your psychological problems such as depression, anxiety comes in, because it's so chronic and it's happening for so long. So really need to be careful about that.
Yeah.
So it starts as a simple gossip online, then it goes on to create anxiety and a hyper-stimulated state. Then it creates these negative algorithms, and then after that, what happens next? It might go into depression, right? So what happens when they kick into depression, Dr. Rudrash?
Okay, so when they kick into depression, what happens is that they go into a very immediate state of silence. Some people, it can work both ways actually. Let's not only talk about the victim, let's also talk about the person who's gossiping, right? So if you're looking at the victim will feel, okay, I'm being victimized right now, and then they'll go into an immediate shutdown. They wouldn't want to come out from their immediate personal space. They don't want to meet friends. They don't want to meet new people. They would immediately go into a shutdown. Okay, that's for the victims. And then let's look into the gossiper, right? The person who's gossiping about the entire situation. They would be like, okay, you know what? I found one victim. I need my next victim. They will go into a state of euphoria.
So it's a compulsive behavior.
That is also detrimental. Okay, we're talking about the victim and also the person who's causing it. So the gossiper, they will feel like, oh, okay, you know what? I've done something. They for some reason they feel good. They feel glorified about themselves. They feel really good about themselves, causing this harm to another person, and they just want to repeat it over and over again.
And this is where we can talk about positive reinforcement. So
Yeah.
because we may talk about behavior, learning behaviors, right?
Yeah.
When you do something, you feel happy about this, then you are more likely to continue the same activities. So
Yeah.
that's where you can see positive reinforcement.
Correct.
happening.
And that's why you actually find similar people. That's when you find a group of people. That's why the gossipers always have another group of gossipers who are encouraging each other.
Yeah.
So the positive reinforcement that Dr. Sean is mentioning is going in the wrong way actually. So we should actually have an awareness that actually says, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this. Okay,
Yeah.
this is actually causing harm to the victim. Okay, so we have to create the awareness from within.
A positive social circle.
Yeah,
That's what you're
right.
saying?
That's
yeah.
right.
A
Yeah.
support system.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
speaks the right words
Yeah.
and re-emphasizes that no, this is wrong. Come out of it, move on, and focus on what's positive, what's next. So for listeners out there who doesn't understand what is depression, okay, depresi, maksudnya you feel low. Maksudnya memang daripada time bangun tidur tu you rasa low, you rasa macam diri you tak ada worth, tak ada apa-apa kegunaan kepada diri you. You tak nak mingle dengan kawan-kawan, you tak nak cakap dengan ahli keluarga, you tak nak buat benda-benda yang you biasanya buat. You tak ada mood lah nak buat apa-apa. Nak keluar makan tak ada mood, nak pergi sekolah tak ada mood, nak pergi kerja tak ada mood, nak bangun tidur tu pun susah. So you rasa macam there's no hope, tak ada harapan kepada you hari tu. Tapi you tak tahu kenapa. Why is that happening? Sebab semuanya perfect dalam hidup you. You ada duit, you ada rumah, you ada ahli keluarga yang sayangkan you. Semua benda ada, tapi you still rasa semua ni. Ni maksudnya depression. Okay. So going back to Dr. Amir, I want to highlight on shame. Okay. Shame maksudnya kita rasa malu, guilt. Did I betul-betul buat benda tu ke? Aduh, saya rasa malu lah. Saya rasa guilty. What's your comments on this, Doctor?
I think on online gossiping, right? Because everything is permanent, everything's visible. So sometimes when things get shared, the way we don't intend to, like something that can cause us shame or embarrassing. Initially, it can start as embarrassing.
Yeah.
But that's when you feel bad about
Yeah.
doing those things.
Yeah.
But when it gets permanent on social media, that's when people start to laugh at you or talk at you.
Yeah.
So that's when shame comes in. So what shame does is shame tells you that you did something bad. So it gets amplified when things are permanent. Everybody's looking at it. It's visible, and the comments when it becomes negative, that's when it becomes toxic.
It gets nastier.
Yeah, and then complete social withdrawal after that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they'll go into a state of complete social withdrawal. They don't want to talk to people and
Exactly.
all that.
Yeah, and what can chronic shame do, doctor?
I mean, shame is very important, right? Because it actually has got long-term implications.
Yeah.
Online gossip actually attacks the personal identity,
Yeah.
and especially for adolescents, this is when they are at the developmental window where the self-concept has actually not fully matured
Yeah.
yet. Okay, now when you have got shame over there, it may actually they may actually integrate this narrative into their identity schema, right? And the risk will increase over here, lah. So they may have they may
So
engage in
risky.
self-harm behavior. They may get involved in disordered eating, having some issues about their body image. So especially when we talk about social media platforms where it's image centric, right? So everyone is always on their best look on Instagram, for example. They talk well, they speak well, but for people who have got issues like stuttering, like myself, we may be afraid
We've
of
never realized
going
that
online.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so this kind of image centric platform actually intensify this dynamic by quantifying social approval, likes, shares, comments, and turns this humiliation actually into numerically reinforced issues lah.
Yeah. This is rasa pelik sebab social media was actually done to connect people, to make people friendlier to each other. So to spread love, to spread kindness. So why is it that we have people becoming withdrawn from their social platforms? So this is bad, right, Dr. Sean?
Yeah. Very simple. We can actually see human behavior, right? And there's always there's one big cascade that we can see. So sometimes we see exposure, and then people feel not happy, and then they get anxious. Then when you are anxious, you try to avoid, and when you avoid, you withdraw, and then you become isolated. So that's something that we can see, and this isolation is not benign. We know that it's also increased with risk of depression, we discussed earlier, and also heart illnesses and also other things. So adolescents belonging in peer group factors as a psychological buffer because they need their group to actually help them grow together. When this kind of gossip affects the belonging, they lose a protective factor against mood disorders.
That's bad. Dr. Rutresh, what's your comment on this?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned earlier, it's very difficult in the sense that once you have gone through social withdrawal and all that, and I like the point where you mentioned earlier, social media was actually created to close the gap. Those days you wouldn't have, you're only connected through phone calls, you're only connected through, and then we had all this SMSs, and then after that we had social media where you can actually see the person, you can follow up with the person without even knowing, without even having a call. You can probably know what's happening in the life of the other person, right? Probably you can just look into the Instagram handle or the Facebook handle, and then okay, what, this person had coffee this morning or had nasi lemak for lunch, and those kind of things. So these are the things that are actually bringing us closer to know that we're actually keeping in touch with each other. But this is also something that people are taking advantage of, right? So they're taking advantage of then creating gossips. For example, oh, this person traveled to Europe. Okay, how did that happen? Then create a gossip that is out of context, completely rumored and all that. So I mean, this is how
this
things.
person has an affair with somebody. Or we can
Let's
also
not even
touch.
talk to start that. Yeah, it goes on
we
and
can
on.
touch about these things where victims of online victims, sexual abuse victims, where it's commonly practiced now among the adolescents, where the partners record them while they're doing intercourse, things like that, sexual behaviors, and they're posting it online as well. These are also victims.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got cases of revenge porn and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of topic of discussion. I think nowadays, even with the Gen Zs, I can say Gen Z is actually now very different. I think in terms of how they are wired are very different. Like how now I'm able to reflect on how my parents used to say, these millennials are very different. Now as millennials we are telling these Gen Zs are very different.
It's a generational change in value because those days, if you come back to those who are older in the community and you tell them this type of gossip and you tell them spray the video of a girl naked, our grandparents would actually question our integrity back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why are you doing this? This is wrong. How are you brought up?
Yeah.
End it there. Stop it. That girl has got a life. But now, the current generation, I wouldn't blame it on them, but everything the system is such that they have got no capability to think or discriminate what is right and what is wrong. As long as it goes online and I get like viewership, it goes. Yeah.
I rasa ramai sekarang ikut perasaan banyak. I think in
Betul.
Gen Z, dia orang
Ikut suka
banyak
hati.
ikut suka hati satu, and then ikut perasaan, then they don't feel that this is actually something wrong. Tak salah pun. Kenapa salah? Tak ada pun, okay je. Sebab things are very open out there right now. People are open about being exposed and all that. And even some of there are cases where some victims are also open to be exposed.
Yeah.
And some of them are not open to be exposed. That's out of personal values. But
Yeah.
things have changed to that extent right
Yeah.
now, right? Yeah.
So back to Dr. Ameh. So in this type of situation where we have cyber victimized youths, okay, they have got their illicit information being spread online rapidly, and the algorithm is making it worse. This would eventually lead to suicidal ideations. I'm sorry to say that word, but what is cyber victimization, doctor? What can it cause?
Okay, when you become a bully of the cyberspace, right? You become on the receiving end of negative comments.
Yeah.
You start to feel shame, like I mentioned just now.
Yeah.
And that's when you become isolated.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to use social media anymore. So
Yeah.
you face social isolation. And
Yeah.
isolation is a buffer against depression.
Yeah.
But when you're exposed to cyber victimization, isolation, then you start to get depressive symptoms such as the worst case scenario would be suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
That comes after you get the symptoms of worthlessness and other depressive symptoms. And what we don't want is your suicide attempts.
Yeah.
So it's a very sensitive method to speak
Yeah.
about. And the risk escalates when it's humiliating.
Yeah.
Your maruah gets affected.
Self-worth, self-value.
Self-worth.
Yeah.
And these things spread rapidly.
Yep.
And sometimes it's impossible to escape. You need to make some police reports. You have to go the
Absolutely.
legal way.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of mental burden on the victims. And sometimes when you get isolated, support can be an issue here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dr. Sean, why are youths more vulnerable towards suicidal ideations or harms, self-harms?
When you're talking of youth, right, then maybe we have to go a bit biological,
Yeah.
psychological, and social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
because developmentally, right,
Yep.
adolescents are neurologically primed to prioritize peer evaluation.
Yep.
Because your limbic system is a place that regulates the association with social pathways and reward. It's actually highly reactive. And then your prefrontal cortex, the place where you have impulse control,
Yep.
cognitive reappraisal,
Yep.
is still developing. So we have a situation where you have heightened emotional reactivity but reduced regulatory activity capacity lah. So this means that any social rejection feels amplified, and coping bandwidth is not at the level where it's able to manage yet. And also psychologically, so Erickson's stages of development actually tells us that they are still role versus identity versus role confusion, but so they're still trying to find their own identity. And in terms of social, today's youth actually experience ambient social surveillance, meaning that you see constant visibility through all the different platforms. So all these things combined, we see why the adolescents are affected most.
Okay, so what Dr. Sean has said in simple words, saya nak summarize is para remaja, cara otak dia develop tu, cara dia berbeza sikit lah. Okay, wiring dia berbeza sikit, sistem dia
matang
berbeza
lagi.
sikit, belum matang lagi.
Ya, ya.
So, timing tu memang cepat lah. Dia kena affect daripada benda-benda, daripada cyberbullying ni. Sangat laju dia akan react kepada tu. So, dia hanya tengok pada moment tu dia fokus. Pada saat tu, somebody bully dia online dan dia rasa malu, terus dia rasa macam dia nak buat something kepada diri dia sendiri untuk menghilangkan diri. Itu sahaja. So, what we are trying to say is cari support system you. Kalau you mangsa kejadian macam ni, cari support system you. Percayalah you akan ada support system. You ada ibu, bapa, guru, siapa-siapa yang you rasa you can trust during that one point of time. That 1 minute can make a big difference. Dr. Rutresh, back to you. I'm directing this conversation back to hope.
Yeah.
Okay, we have talked about all this. I think we are also a bit affected by the topic. All of us now, daripada muka senyum, you can see kita pun dah muka dull sikit because we have all faced this. Okay, let's accept it. So how do we actually help the young people out there or the community in general?
Okay, so this like Dr. Vicky mentioned, this topic is very moody in the sense that we've been victims and we've seen victims and we have treated some of us, we have treated the victims as well. As part of our services time during MOH and all that. So we have seen all this, and I think the most critical part, especially for young adults, is early adult intervention. When I say early adult intervention, like Dr. Vicky mentioned earlier, you actually have to seek help. The first thing to do is if you have already gone to a state where you feel you're helpless, you feel trapped, and then you feel like suicide is the only way out. That is where you actually reach out for help. Okay, there is no way an adult and a person that you trust would never come and help you. This is very, 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 very important, and this is actually a personal message kepada semua pendengar kita.
Betul.
Jika anda rasa terperangkap, jika anda rasa tak ada hala tuju,
Tak ada harapan.
tak ada harapan dah, there is always hope. There is always hope. There's a lot of non-governmental organizations that are helping us, and then there's from Talian Noor to all this befrienders. They're always there. You just have to drop a call if you feel you can't reach out to your parents, to your peers, or to
Reach out to us.
Yeah, you can reach out to us. You can
Comment
reach out to
section
us.
or PM us, and we can help you, direct you towards the right help.
Yeah. So I think that is very important. That's very important. Early adult intervention is key actually, because one proven adult that can actually supervise and can actually advise can actually change the entire life of the adolescent. Yeah, the right advice would actually change the decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us can relate to this particular advice. Do you agree with this sentence that he's just mentioned?
No,
Sean?
definitely. I just want to go one step before that, right?
Yes, sure.
Like when you mentioned that if there is people that you can't turn to, then you need to look for these organizations. One thing that we need to understand is also that at sometimes perhaps it's because of difference in terms of upbringing environment. Some people may not feel the kind of need to prioritize in regards to emotions, right? They will be like, never mind lah, after a little while you get better, all these things. We need to validate emotions because everyone has got emotions, right? And sometimes these kind of emotions we need to acknowledge that it exists and we need to manage it nicely.
Sean brought that up. You should validate your emotions. That's very important.
Hormat the emosi, respect the other's emotions. Dr. Amir, what's your comments on this?
As you mentioned just now, validating emotions is really good. But what if the perspective comes from the person close to the victim? Let's say a victim comes to you and say he wants to confide or she wants to confide in you or share his feelings, right? What do we do? The least we could do is be a good listener. We hear what they are facing because
don't judge. Don't judge.
Be a kind person.
Yeah, be kind. Always be kind.
Always be kind.
I think all they need is someone to share their problems and try to maybe not understand, but try to validate what they are going through. So once you become that supportive friend or family member, it does a whole world to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So from the system perspective, we've got a lot of, for example, our podcast itself is now a digital platform where you can access, materials. Okay, eventually we will start sharing in professional materials on what you should do if you're facing such and such problems, especially related to mental health. We will start calling in more mental health experts. You can also reach out to us if you would like to share your views on our podcast. School mental health screening programs are available. Okay, let's leverage on them. Parental awareness on such issues should be amplified. Okay, that means parents should closely monitor their kids' social media platform. As a parent myself, I think that I would definitely monitor my children's social media platform. There is such thing called a private space, but no, I'm not going to allow my child to succumb into cyberbullying. Okay, that's our responsibility as a parent. Now, platform accountabilities as well. So when we're speaking about social media platforms, definitely what they want is viewership. The more people see the negative content, the better. But probably at policy level, this can be more stricter, more restrictions come in to control the platforms in terms of algorithms, especially for negative contents. So that's why we have people from the ministries who is controlling this, regulating the content of what's going on in the Malaysian aspect.
I was actually about to say
him
the subject matter expert today.
Maybe you want to just mention about this because there's policy that's coming in from Malaysia. We Malaysia will be restricting social media use for those under 16 years old.
Perfect.
Beginning second half of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how the wider public. I don't mean because there have been a lot of different comments, right?
Yeah.
It's from Dr. Vicky's
Yeah.
response. It sounds like you are in support
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
But there are also other concerns from
Absolutely.
different sides. So we are hoping to find a balance whereby we can actually protect our children because
Yeah.
online there are so many harmful content.
Yes.
Online gambling.
Absolutely.
We talk about obscene materials.
Pornography.
We talk about scams.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different scams
Yes.
happening on Facebook.
Yeah.
All these places. So these are really concerning
Yeah.
items, and since we are recording our session
Yes.
in Cyberjaya,
Yeah.
we could probably consider getting in the Malaysian Communication Multimedia Commission,
MCMC.
MCMC,
Yes.
National Centre of Excellence for Mental Health, and CMH, which are all located in Cyberjaya.
Yeah. So in the next podcast, stay tuned. We might be having other subject matter expertise joining us to expand this topic further. So to conclude the session today, one sentence that you would like to give as an advice to the listeners out there, Dr. Rutresh.
I think the one sentence that I want to leave for our audience is that if you are a victim of this entire cyberbullying or gossiping or whatever it can be, just remember that you're not alone. Okay? Always remember you're not alone. There's always hope and there's always someone that you can reach out to. So if you're listening this is a very important message to you. You're not alone. Yeah.
Dr. Sean.
Yeah, I think this one I would like to address, especially parents who have got children and who are using social media. I think our tagline is peranti bukan pengasuh, and it's
Betul.
something very important. We need to be aware of what our children is actually
Yep.
using, and so that we can make sure that they are not accessing harmful content online. So that's something very important.
Absolutely. Dr. Amir.
For me, as a very caring family member or friend, we should also show care towards people that we know who are facing these things, because with help and support, we can change the trajectory.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think the final words from me would be to the gossiper. Remember that when you speak about somebody or you spread a content that is not true or even a true content, but it would cause harm in any manner to another person, there's someone higher above who's watching all this, okay? And what goes around comes around. So let's cut it at that. Give respect, take respect, use social media platforms or any help platforms or anything online to spread kindness, to spread the truth, to spread good materials instead of using it for negativity. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for our next podcast series.